I wanted to do this since the debate because I share your frustration about Trump on immigration in particular. And there's just so many opportunities for him to shove it down her throat. And he tried to bring it up, but just didn't do the most effective job of it. But I have this little bit I'm going to show you with these sound bites. It's a run. It's just this one Q&A. It went for 2 minutes. But I sliced and diced it so you can see, we can forensically go through just how effed up the whole thing was. This clip, I'm going to show these clips to show you how bad David Muir was, how frustrating Kamala Harris was, and how frustrating Trump was, which is why we're all feeling so frustrated about this debate, those of us who do not want to see this woman ascend to power in the presidency. So let's go to the issue of when they did ask Kamala Harris about what took you so long to try to do anything about the border, right? 6 months before the election, Joe Biden puts a Band-Aid in place to try to look like, oh, we've got control of the border. We all knew why he was doing that. He doesn't care about the border for all the reasons you just espoused. So here's the question to Harris.
My question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
Okay. Good question. Why did it take so long? And would you have done anything differently? Here we go. Fair question. Let's hear what she has to say.
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing
Nothing to do with immigration.
You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
So she pivots off of one of the most important issues in the country today. Why didn't you do anything about this? And would you have done anything differently than your boss to his rallies? And we all knew what was going to happen because she was like, something shiny over here. And Trump, that is his trigger spot, his rallies, his crowd sizes, ran like Strudwick after the liver snaps when I throw them on the side lawn, ran for it with gusto. Here he is.
People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost.
Okay, so then you're like, oh, please pivot back to the issue. Please, Trump, bring it back to immigration. Like, shove all those facts that you just said down her throat. He could have brought up Laken Riley. He could have brought up the families he's been spending time with at the border, whose daughters have been killed at age 12 by these illegals crossing into America. He went a different way, which it was an issue, and it's fine to talk about. It was not the best issue. Here's where he went.
And look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
Now David Muir comes in to save the day more. Oh, here I am, objective fact checker. I'm going to hammer Orange Man. Watch.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from television.
But the people
I'm
on television saying their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris.
Now the moderator is arguing with Trump over a city manager in Springfield, Ohio versus what Trump has seen on television. By the way, that's why you should not fact check a thing that is in dispute and has not been settled, David Muir. But things are spinning off the rails. How far away are we right now from the Joe Biden immigration policies and whether she would have done anything differently? So now he turns to Harris. This is your opportunity, David Muir, to get this thing back on track and look at her and say, the question, madam, was, would you have done anything differently than Joe Biden did? He does turn to Kamala Harris, and this is what happens.
So I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
What? That's not the fucking toss.
This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formally worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney.
The toss to her is not, would you have anything to say? I'll just follow up. Would you like to respond? It's, you didn't answer the question. You talked about rallies. And of course, what does she say? Nothing about immigration. All these Republicans love me. He's unhinged. This is why we felt sick when this thing was over.
Well, this also shows you, and I like that you broke it up in that way. It's very clear that Kamala Harris memorized different little speeches and responses, and her whole game plan was get to speech A, get to speech B. It had nothing to do, and avoid, of course, actual policy discussion, which is what happened there. That was, I'll be honest with you, Megyn, I'm having a little flashback trauma to watching that. Just
Me too.
Because
Me too.
That was, if these are two boxers in a ring, that was Kamala Harris unsteady on her legs, ready for the knockout blow, and Trump going off into the corner and doing a little dance and waving, to people in the crowd. That for me, and it just makes me so mad because she knew exactly what she was doing, and it worked. Okay, you and I, it worked. Mm-hmm. She was able to evade
like a charm.
Worked like a charm, and Trump went right for it. But the other side of it, and I know that there's a lot of people who they think everything Trump does is great. I'm not one of those people. I do like Trump a lot and support his presidency with all that I can. He's a great presenter and entertainer. He's not a skilled debater. Those are different skill sets. You and I know, there are people say, oh, so and so is so good on current events. I'm like, they read off a piece of glass. They don't know anything, right? I mean, they're even within media, people can have different areas of competency or lack thereof. Same thing in politics. But I do think that because of the, I don't know if persecution narrative is the right way to put it, but because of the sense that everything is always stacked against Trump by the establishment, this very much plays into that. Trump has never had a great debate performance, has never had a great debate performance.
I don't know.
And yet has still won. Which one? I mean,
he sliced and diced those Republicans in 2016.
Oh, I'm thinking about general election debates, but yeah, I mean, he's very good and funny when he has. What was amazing about Trump in the general election, in the primary against Republicans, was how much he was able to command the stage, right? You've got 8 other people there or whatever it was, and it was like Trump and really nobody else was there, and that's like a superpower, right? I mean, really, most of the time you have all these politicians excuse me, they look like the kid in the class who really wants to get in and answer all the questions, and it's just not a. Trump just stands there and with limited time was always the center of attention no matter where he was. And he was actually center stage because he was first in the polls. In general elections, I'd have to think back. I don't think he did a great job against Hillary Clinton in the debate. I think he had an amazing campaign and obviously won that. I can't say that he did a great job against Joe Biden to memory. I'd have to go back and look at it the first time around. He obviously had a knockout blow against Biden this time around, but wasn't that really just Joe Biden?
Him. I mean, it was Joe Biden.
He was good. Yeah. I mean, Trump didn't step on it, but this time around, I was expecting something better. But I also think that debates.
I agree with you. Look, I think people understand how unfair this was. I do think people understand how unfair this was, and I don't think this debate is going to move the polls. And we'll get to people who disagree with me. We've got some of that sound queued up, but this Trump has been spending time with grieving families whose kids were killed by illegals. He knows these facts. It's just he's driven by whatever he's seen on TV most recently. But we have been covering, look at this soundbite. He went down to the border and he met with moms who talked about the murder of their daughters. Watch this.
My daughter was just 12. She had dreams to be famous. She wanted to be a famous actor. June 17th was the day her life was taken. She was left with no clothing from the waist down, was thrown in a bayou, left strangled to death. We believe, yes, she was assaulted. They had no reason to do anything that they did to Jocelyn. There was over 300 detention beds that they should have been at because they were detained and they were released when they shouldn't have been released. One had an ankle monitor, didn't stop anything. So now I have to go through the rest of my life with my son, always asking for his sister. Please take into consideration how important border control is, because we're losing very innocent people to heinous crime. Please help him make a change.
This poor woman, her name is Alexis Nungare. Her daughter was Jocelyn. There was another mom down there, Patty Morin, talking about her daughter's murder. And both of the suspects had illegally entered the United States this year. They were released into the country. One had claimed he feared for safety if he'd been sent back to Venezuela. The other was fitted with an ankle monitor, but removed it after it was determined he had no known criminal history. And they're murdering 12-year-old American girls. This is not just about Trump. Yes, that's what Trump should have said. Those two girls, Lake and Riley. For the listening audience, Trump was standing next to these mothers. He took the time to go down there and meet with them and listen to them, unlike Kamala Harris. As a kid, you loved eating cereal, right? But as an adult, you don't want all that sugar. And most cereals do not have the protein you need. But then there's Magic Spoon, a nostalgically delicious cereal that tastes just like your childhood favorites, but without the sugar and with a ton of protein. And now Magic Spoon has turned their super popular cereal into high protein treats that are light, crispy, and taste just like those classic crunchy cereal bars. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are so delicious, and they can serve as a before or after gym snack. Magic Spoon's treats are an easy way to get 11 grams of protein on the go. And for the first time ever, Magic Spoon treats are available in grocery stores with delicious flavors like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/MK or look for Magic Spoon in your nearest grocery store. Magicspoon.com/MK for $5 off. Magic Spoon, hold on to the dream. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.